A report out of Florida tonight is a reminder to millions of Americans there is a strange and dangerous vulnerability underground: sinkholes. A man was in his bedroom. The earth opened up beneath the house and he fell in.
Florida's Gulf Coast is being swallowed. Right now. Not slowly, not over years, but in a matter of hours. On March 4th, 2026, entire neighborhoods along Florida's Gulf Coast began disappearing. Homes didn't collapse. They vanished, pulled into the ground as if something beneath them had suddenly given up. This isn't normal. Florida has always had sinkholes. But what's happening now is something scientists say should be impossible, because in less than 72 hours, the underground system holding the entire region up collapsed. Beneath Florida lies one of the most important water systems in North America, the Floridan Aquifer. It stretches across 4 states. It supplies drinking water to over 10 million people. And more importantly, it holds the ground together. Think of it like this. Beneath the surface is a vast network of limestone, filled with cavities, tunnels, and chambers carved out over millions of years. Water fills those spaces, and that water, under pressure, acts like support, like invisible pillars, holding everything up. Now imagine those pillars suddenly disappearing. That's exactly what happened. It began quietly. March 2nd, 2026. Early morning. At a water facility in Pasco County, a supervisor noticed something strange. Pressure levels in the aquifer were dropping. Fast. Too fast. At first, they thought it was a sensor malfunction. It wasn't. Within hours, 911 calls flooded in across Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties. Residents reported cracks forming in their homes. Not small cracks. Deep fractures splitting through walls, driveways, and floors. Then, at 7:03 a.m., the first major collapse happened. A massive sinkhole opened in Hudson, Florida, 180 feet wide. A home sitting on the edge didn't crumble. It was dragged down, pulled into the earth in less than 40 seconds. Witnesses described something chilling. They said it sounded like the ground was breathing. By noon, 31 sinkholes had opened across a 47-mile stretch of coastline. Some were still expanding in real time. Satellite imagery confirmed it. The land wasn't just collapsing, it was sinking, as if the entire region was being hollowed out from below. Highways cracked, water lines ruptured, power grids failed. Entire communities were cut off. Over 11,000 people were evacuated. Many left with nothing. Some didn't even have time to put on shoes. And the worst part? Scientists didn't understand how this was happening. Because this wasn't just water loss, it was pressure collapse. Experts estimate the aquifer lost nearly 40% of its pressure in under 3 days. That kind of change should take decades. So what caused it? One theory is now gaining attention. Deep beneath the surface, something may have broken. Seismic sensors detected a series of micro-tremors just days before the collapse. Small. Too small for people to feel, but not too small to matter. These tremors may have fractured a critical layer beneath the aquifer, a natural barrier that normally keeps pressure stable. If that layer failed, water could suddenly drain sideways into areas it was never supposed to go. And if that happened, the entire support system holding up the ground would disappear. Which brings us to the terrifying reality. This may not be over, because the collapse isn't staying in one place. Data shows the instability is moving north, slowly but steadily. Scientists are tracking the movement at about 4 meters per day. That might not sound fast, but underground, that's catastrophic. Because the aquifer doesn't stop at county lines or even state lines. It connects Florida to Georgia and beyond. If this pressure collapse continues, it could trigger a chain reaction, a cascading failure across the entire system. And that's the scenario experts are most afraid of. In the worst case, the sinkhole zone doesn't stop at 47 miles. It spreads hundreds of miles. Water supplies for millions could be affected. Entire regions could become unstable. And land that people have lived on for generations could become uninhabitable. This isn't just a Florida problem. It's a regional crisis in the making. And the damage so far? It's already massive. One sinkhole alone swallowed an entire neighborhood. Over 200 homes. Gone. Not damaged. Not repairable. Gone. Infrastructure is collapsing. Water systems are failing. And contamination is now a growing threat. Because as freshwater pressure drops, salt water from the Gulf begins to move inland. And salt water doesn't just contaminate drinking supplies. It accelerates the destruction. It dissolves limestone faster, weakens the ground even more, and speeds up the collapse. So now the system is feeding itself, getting worse faster, and people are paying the price. Families have lost everything. Homes, businesses, entire communities, all gone in hours. One man described waking up to a sound like a giant drain. Within minutes, his house was gone. A 73-year-old woman sat in a shelter, holding her phone, trying to call her son. But the signal was gone, just like her home. And for many, there's nothing left to return to. Insurance won't cover it. Most policies exclude ground collapse. So thousands of people are now starting over, from zero. Meanwhile, the response is struggling to keep up. Roads are failing faster than crews can repair them. Emergency teams are working in areas where the ground is still moving. Even rescue routes are becoming dangerous. And while officials are requesting billions in aid, time is something they don't have. Because the Earth is still shifting. And the biggest question remains unanswered. Where did the water go? Because it didn't just disappear. It moved. Somewhere. And wherever it went, could determine what happens next. Scientists are now monitoring every signal, every tremor, every pressure change, because the next collapse could happen anywhere along the system, including areas that have never experienced sinkholes before. Right now, Florida's Gulf Coast is transforming. What used to be stable ground is becoming something else, something unpredictable, something dangerous. And if the worst-case scenario becomes reality, this could be the beginning of one of the largest geological disasters in modern U.S. history. Because this isn't just a sinkhole problem, it's a foundation problem. The ground beneath millions of people is no longer reliable. And as of now, no one can say when it will stop, or where it will strike next. And if the ground itself can disappear overnight, what does that mean for every city built on top of it?